Audiobook Academy. Book Summary. The Jungle Book. By Rudyard Kipling. Rudyard Kipling's The Jungle Book is a collection of short stories based on a single theme. Original pictures accompanied the stories that appeared in publications in 1893 and 1894, some of which were created by the author's father. Though he wrote the stories while living in Vermont, the author was inspired by his boyhood in India, to which he went after college for a few years. The stories are said to have been written in memory of his 6-year-old daughter, who died shortly after the first version of the book was published. Mowgli, a little boy who went lost in the jungle as a child, is the subject of the book's 14 stories. Mowgli was adopted by a mother wolf who nurtured him and educated him about the jungle's customs and rules when she stumbled upon him. He was content, but the tiger Shere Khan began terrorizing the creatures in the woods and even frightened Mowgli. In this novel, animals take on human characteristics, becoming emotionally invested in the young child and showing empathy for him as if he were one of their own. Because they were taught human speech, or because Mowgli was able to figure out how to communicate with him, they can communicate with Mowgli. The animals in the stories have high moral standards and follow strict laws, which they pass on to Mowgli. In addition, they stress the need of treating all living things and the environment with respect. Animals' morality can serve as a model for human behavior. Humans have a significant role in this story as well as the ruthless assassin tiger Shere Khan. People that terrorize other living things are referred to as usurpers of nature who show no regard for their fellow animals and act recklessly without regard for the consequences of their actions. In reality, the novel is an allegory of modern life, which is influenced and governed by numerous political systems. After the introduction of the book-inspired animation in 1967, book characters became hugely popular. Mowgli, Baloo the bear, Bagheera the panther, Kaa the python, and Shere Khan the tiger become modern-day symbols, instantly recognizable to all children. This book is a must-read for all children, no matter how well-known the cartoon is. Mowgli's brothers. It was a sweltering summer's night. During the scorching afternoon, the wolves rested and replenished their energy so they could go out hunting as the sun set. Until they heard something in the trees, everything was dead silent. There was an odd thing in the room. He was shivering in his underwear and had no idea how to stand. He was, after all, just like the rest of us. Because Shere Khan was on his tail, he showed no fear in settling in with the young wolves and displayed an impressive amount of strength. When Shere Khan saw the infant, he was determined to have his hands on it, and so Mother Wolf chose to adopt him. In the eyes of the jungle, Shere Khan was an outcast since he exclusively hunted starving animals and humans, which was against the rules. As hard as she tried, Shere Khan couldn't get the baby out of the pack because of her mother. In defense of her son, she stood up for him. A quorum of the pack was required to make new choices. The baby wolf's parents had to tell the pack about him. Nobody could hurt him after he was accepted into the pack. The introduction of a person to their pack enraged several wolves. A bear named Baloo and a panther named Bagheera stood up for the frog named Mowgli after he was admitted into the wolf pack's collective name of the Free People. The pack accepted Mowgli as a member. He grew up alongside the wolves and learned from them about their way of life. Baloo was a great assistance in his studies of the jungle's laws. While Shere Khan was still haunted by his failure to catch a human youngling, he was more than willing to use him against him. As an elderly wolf, Akela's life path had come to an end, and he was in poor health. He was terrified of what Shere Khan could do to Mowgli and his family. Bagheera was raised in a society, hence she was well versed in social norms. In order to collect the red flower that animals are scared of, she advised Mowgli to travel to the human world and obtain the fire. Shere Khan was preparing to overthrow the old Akela when a fresh full moon appeared. In response to this, Mowgli resolved to take on Shere Khan, but Shere Khan didn't realize that Mowgli possessed the fire. Fired branches were used as weapons in the attack. Shere Khan and his henchmen fled from the raging inferno with their lives in jeopardy. This battle made Mowgli realize that the jungle was no place for him to be alone. As sad as he was for having to say goodbye to his pack of wolves, he assured them that he would return with the skin of Shere Khan. It was a depressing morning for Mowgli, so he set out in quest of the creatures known as mankind. Cause hunting. In the beginning, Mowgli had to learn a great deal from the wolf, which led to a number of disagreements with his teacher Blue. He informed him once that he spent some time in the woods with a bunderlog while he was in the midst of a heated argument. They were low-ranking monkeys in the forest. It wasn't like they had a leader or a code of conduct. Every day was filled with rambling and yelling at the top of their lungs to tuneless music. They did it all in an effort to draw attention to themselves. One of the monkeys had the bright idea that Mowgli would make an excellent friend because he was skilled at building jungle shelters. When they saw him leading Baloo, Bagheera, and Mowgli, they assumed he could lead them to the top of the jungle's power structure. They decided to take a nap around noon. When Mowgli dozed off, the monkeys swooped in and snatched him away. They fled with Mowgli in tow, screams ringing out in the distance. They were delighted that the panther Bagheera's attention was now theirs. Bear and panther chased them, but they were as quick as they were. They devised a strategy and met with the monkeys' arch-nemesis, the boa constrictor Kaa. Although Kaa first refused to cooperate with Baloo and Bagheera, the insults the monkeys had hurled at him eventually convinced him to accept their offer. They were able to locate Mowgli in the cold lair thanks to the assistance of a hawk. That was a desolated enclave. In a speech, one of the monkeys proclaimed that Mowgli's arrival signified a new beginning for them. After a few failed attempts at shelter building, Mowgli realized the monkeys had lost interest. Baloo's right, he realized as they began to tell each other stories and became restless. He made the decision to return to his home in the bush. In order to get to Mowgli, Baloo, Bagheera, and Kaa had devised a strategy. There was a sudden outbreak of violence that caused a lot of commotion. In order to protect Mowgli, the monkeys gave up and Kaa knocked down the wall with such force that Mowgli was able to escape. In spite of Mowgli's sincere apology, he was nevertheless punished for his actions in the end. They all went back to Mother Wolf after they were all severely punished. Tiger. Tiger. Having been liberated from his captivity in the wild, Mowgli didn't spend much time at the first hamlet he encountered because it was so near to the jungle. When he came upon a man who was terrified of Mowgli, he went to the local priest. Because of the striking resemblance between this boy and Nathum, it was suggested that Mesu, the mother of Nathum, adopt him. Mowgli began a new phase of education. He was growing acquainted to human customs, such as how to dress and labor in the fields, as well as how to go about his daily routine. Money was a major issue for him. It took him just 3 months of training to become a shepherd and begin herding the buffalo. Participated in village club meeting as well. The hunter Buldeo had a lot to say about the jungle at the conference, and he had a lot to say about it. Upon Mowgli's accusation of his being a liar, he was forced to transport the buffaloes out of town. A gray-haired sibling came upon him. When he saw him, Shere Khan was already on the loose, and he was the oldest son of a mother wolf. For the first time in his life, he had to face Shere Khan head-on. Akela was summoned to help him separate the buffaloes, calves, and cows from the mother. Shere Khan had just finished a lunch and was taking a break when the enraged buffaloes arrived, killing him instantly. Shere Khan's death gave Mowgli the opportunity to take his skin, but he was captured by the hunter Buldeo, who blackmailed him for it. With his wolf pack, Mowgli scared him. Buldeo was horrified and spread the word about Mowgli's magic to everyone in the village. Villagers threw pebbles at Mowgli when he arrived at the town. He has returned to his own country and paid his final farewells to Mesu. Because of everything that had transpired, he was filled with resentment. Wolf pack members wanted him to lead them, but he declined when he showed them Shere Khan's skin. According to him, he had been rejected by both people and the wolf. Anglo-Indian novelist Rudyard Kipling was born in Bombay in 1865. Art school professor was his father's profession. Despite having spent his early years in India, he attended school in England as an international student. He returned to India after completing his education and worked as a journalist there. Rudyard's life was full of adventures and new experiences. The Jungle Book, his most popular work, was published in 1894 and was followed up by The Jungle Book 2 in 1897. From 1902 to his death, he had a strong ties to England, where he had a significant impact on the political and cultural landscape of the period. He won the Nobel Peace Prize in 1907. He was a strong believer in structure and routine, and he applied those values to his professional life as well. Despite his erudite work, he was accused of being a supporter of British imperialism since he thought the law governing British colonization was sound. Thank you for listening in Audiobook Academy. Don't forget to subscribe and smash that like button for more content like this. See you in next video.